Hello guys, so this is an Oppo Reno 5F with a restarting problem. Our client came with it and I'm trying to figure out what the problem is, or rather trying to fix it. So usually, regarding Oppos, most of the time, the problem could be one of two things. Either it's a software problem, that's why it's restarting, or it could be a switch problem. We are gonna start with the latter because most of the time it usually is a switch problem, either a short or something like that. So we're gonna disassemble it, unscrew. So that's the first thing we're gonna do. Most smartphones are built that way. It's gonna create a hindrance. Then we're gonna use a surgical blade that which I usually use, or a scalpel, and we're gonna insert it in between the screen chassis and the back cover chassis, and we're gonna pry it open like so and so. We're gonna do that same process all throughout the cover. Just rotate it round. Obviously there are more suitable tools for that, but personally I've found the scalpel to be most effective because of its sharpness. It can just get in between the cracks, and since it's small, when you hold it you have a lot of control, so you can't really slip up. So now we've opened up the phone. This is what the Oppo Reno 5F looks like from the inside. Yep. So I'm gonna have to deal with the power switch. As you can see, the power switch is still intact, but the phone is still restarting. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna try to disable the power switch to see if that's the problem. How do we disable the power switch? Either by removing the connector, which is beneath the motherboard, or by destroying the switch. So we're gonna use the scalpel to absolutely tear up the switch from the app, because there are two like silver buttons on the top of the switch. So we're gonna use the scalpel to remove them from the switch. Now that you've done that, we're gonna have to test if our theory is correct. So first of all, we're gonna use ethanol or white spirits, and we're gonna brush the switch. We're gonna take a brush at the switch, make sure it's squeaky clean and there's no possibility of the short still there, because usually if the switch has shorted, that's when the phone restarts. So after cleaning it with the white spirit, we're gonna test it and see if that was the problem. How do we do that? Oppos usually turn on if you plug in the charger. So since we do not have a power switch, we can just plug in the charger and see if the phone is okay. There we go. As you can see, I've plugged in the charger. So if the phone is okay, it's gonna start normally and it's gonna not restart as it was doing before. Here we go. Let's see if indeed it was a switch problem. See, with a quick look at what the switch looks like right now, it is without the upper silver switch part. So the phone did start, and I'm trying to short the switch to see if it still works, and as you can see, it does work. So yeah, the problem is the switch had shorted. So question is, what do we do from now? The best option to that is if you have a switch nearby, you're gonna have to just remove this switch, use a blade, and go to the back of the switch slowly and be very accurate. Go to the back of the switch and remove it. Just pry it like that. So the options after this is, if you have a dealer nearby, or if you have a secondary switch, you can use it. But for me, I do not have the specific model for that switch. So what I'm going to do is just modify. Yeah, what I'm going to do is modify the switch. So I bought, or I got another switch. It's an Oppo switch, but it's from a different model, so it can't really work right off. Like you can just plug it in there and it works. So basically what we're going to do is going to modify it. We're going to loop it. So that is exactly what I'm doing. Going to use the soldering gun, and we're going to use looping wire. We're going to solder the looping wire, then we're going to solder the switch, the positive and the negative, both of them. So after this, what we're going to do is we're going to find the negative part on the motherboard, and we're going to find the power switch on the motherboard, and we're going to loop it there. So the looping wire is going to come directly from the switch onto the motherboard. The power point is usually not that hard to find. Basically, what you do if you're looking for a power point for a switch in a case like this whereby you have to loop, you're just going to take a tweezer, hold one end to the ground and the other end to a number of points usually near the switch, and see which one works with this. So that's basically what we're going to do. Now that is done, we're going to have to test it with the meter to make sure the points are independent and haven't shorted, because if it does that, the phone is just going to restart again. And yeah, the switch is good. So we're going to solder the other end of the switch like so. There we go. That's the positive, and then we get the negative end. So now we bring the phone into the picture, and we are gonna loop it. So we're gonna solder. We're gonna have to cut this one since we don't have the original one. We're gonna have to completely separate this from the motherboard. Either you cut it from there or you lift the motherboard. Pretty much it's the same thing, but since I'm using a scalpel, it's a very clean cut with little to no possibility of short. So one, we're gonna solder on the negative part. That's the negative of the switch. The second one, it's gonna go on the second dot. That's the power point of Oppo Reno for the switch, the power on switch. So that's why we're gonna loop the switch at. One is gonna go onto the negative on the ground. The other one is gonna go to the power switch, the power point, like so. We're gonna start with the negative. Or we can just start with the positive, because it's near. And we're gonna go to the negative, just like that. Simple enough, right? So since that is done, we're gonna have to test it first before we actually install it. Bring it to the front and just press on it, see if it actually works. As you can see, it does work. So that's the hard part. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna have to install this switch to the place where it previously was. We're gonna apply some super glue to the base of the chassis where the switch is gonna be lying at. After doing that, we're gonna securely place the switch end onto the chassis where we just applied some super glue so that it sticks and doesn't move, like so. See how easy that was? Then we're gonna use some masking tape to block out the wires that we just looped so that a short doesn't happen, like so. You see? This is a closer look. So now we're gonna test it out and see how good it is. As you can see, it works perfectly. That's an Oppo Reno 5 for you. So we've effectively fixed the switch by modifying it. This and again, I think this works best if you do not have a switch. So if you do have a switch, just use the switch. But this is repair. Sometimes you don't have the exact switch and you have to do an actual repair. So here we go. That's an Oppo Reno 5F for you, having fixed the power switch button. Thank you and subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos. See you next time. And of course, you have to screw back